Hi, my name is Christina Suzann Nelson, and this is my newest book, What Happens Next. It releases January 17th, and if you hurry and get your order in before January 17th with Baker Bookhouse, you can get 40% off, free shipping, and a packet of retro stickers. So this book happens in 3 perspectives, 2 that are current day, and 1 that happens in 1987, and that is in the point of view of the 10-year-old girl, the girl whose story we're trying to uncover and find out what happens to her at the end of that summer. So I'll start off by reading a little bit of the current day. This is Faith. She is a podcaster and is recently divorced. Faith Burns' carefully laid plans took advantage of unplanned distractions and skipped town, never to be seen again. She stood outside her comfortable suburban home, one hand on the mailbox and the other holding a thick envelope from her attorney. Her line of sight did a dance around the yard, as if one of her neighbors might be watching and somehow witness this moment of humiliation. Faith didn't have to open the seal to know what the package contained. Inside would be her copy of her final divorce decree. She hadn't wanted the dissolution of her vows, so she certainly didn't need to read through the corrosive words again. Tucking the mail under her arm, she straightened her posture and walked past the tulips, just beginning to open in the early spring weather. With Easter only 4 days past, their appearance should have been predictable, but like those who witnessed the death of Jesus, she wasn't prepared for life to return after tragedy. A horn honked behind her, startling Faith from her pathetic comparison between the crucifixion and being dumped by Neil. She turned to find Kendall, a friend she'd made through Neil but managed to keep in the settlement. The side door of Kendall's green minivan slid open and Harlow and Ava piled out, lunging towards her. "Mom, I can't believe you're okay with this. Thank you." Ava hopped up on her toes, still not stretching quite to Faith's chin. She clutched the phone that Neil had purchased for her, even though Faith and Neil had decided the girls could wait until their 13th birthday for that kind of responsibility. Apparently, in his mind, divorce gave Ava a 9-month advancement in age. This is going to be the best summer ever. Faith kissed the top of Ava's head. "I'm sure it will be." She shifted her gaze to her 14-year-old. Harlow was skilled at non-verbally cluing her mother in on all things Ava. And what Faith was getting from her older daughter sparked flames in her chest. The delight melted from Harlow's face. "Stop, Ava. He didn't ask Mom." Ava's mouth hung open as her body stilled. "So we're not going to Hawaii for the summer?" I'm going to go forward just a little bit to a letter that Faith receives around the same time. It says, "Faith, I don't know if you'll remember me. You were friends with my sister Heather. I'm sure you recall that Heather went missing in September 1987. My family is in great need of closure for Heather's case. We need to see justice for what happened to her. While I know your podcast focuses on people who go on after tragedy to do remarkable things, I wonder if you'd consider looking into Heather's case without any of us qualifying as healed or doing remarkable things. I believe bringing attention to Heather again might be the catalyst to find out what happened to her. Thank you, Brooke." A photograph was paperclipped to the back of the page. 3 girls, one in her early teens, the other 2 at the final stages of girlhood, sat on a curb, ice cream cones melting in their hands. The girl in the middle was Faith. So a little bit later, we first are introduced to Heather. 1987. "When Mrs. Furden called me across the street to her house, I assumed it was to complain about my brother's new muscle car. Greg thought he was all that, and he wanted the whole neighborhood to hear him coming and going, as if they would come out of their homes and cheer like he was the grand marshal of the 4th of July parade. My summer was already off to a boring start. My best friend Amy had gone off to Japan with her sister for the entire vacation, something to do with her dad's work. That left me, on the first day of freedom, walking alone to and from the IGA for a big hunk and a grape soda. I folded the crinkly wrapper over the candy and stuffed the remaining half into the pocket of my Bermuda shorts, then crossed to Mrs. Furden's yard. Well, don't you have the most perfect timing? Mrs. Furden waved me up onto the porch. I didn't know about that, but my mom would be expecting me home soon, and that was the timing that I didn't want to mess with. With what can I do for you? I figured she needed help with some kind of chore now, seeing as how she was all alone since Mr. Furden's heart attack last fall. Faith. I squinted up at her wrinkled face. Did she think I needed an extra Sunday school lesson? My fingers grazed the candy bar in my pocket, while the other hand clutched the pop can. I hoped it wasn't the gluttony talk. My mom was big on that one. Then a girl stepped out of the house. She was taller than me, but most everyone I knew, even the kids a grade younger, had me by inches. Blonde hair fell over her shoulders in waves, the kind that meant that she wouldn't have an older sister after her all the time to get her look together. My first reaction was to step back. I wasn't looking for a new friend. I still had Amy, even if she was in a different country. But then the girl smiled, and I felt like she might be okay after all. Mrs. Furden put her hand on the girl's back and pushed her my way. This is my granddaughter, Faith. She's here for the summer, and I thought the two of you could be friends. My eyebrows did that thing that drove my mother crazy, jumping up and giving away my feelings. But I caught it quick and dropped them back into place. Hi, I thrust my hand out. I'm Heather. What grade are you in? Going into 5th. How about you? She looked down at the porch. Same here. Awesome. Do you want to hang out at my place? I pointed down the road, 4 houses. It's the one with the flag in the front yard. I bet my mom would let us have popsicles. I caught Mrs. Furden glancing at my pop, but it was only an hour or so past lunch, so it wasn't like I was spoiling my dinner. Still, I lowered the can. Faith's shoulders rose and fell, but I could tell that she was the kind of girl that would be a lot of fun once I got her away from the grown-ups. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you'll give What Happens Next a chance. And thank you again to Tony for having me here. And I hope I get to meet you all in person someday. Thanks.